So I wasn't originally planning to do a part 4 of this reincarnation series, but I felt it was going to be 3. I would cover it, but actually, as it happens, I find that I have one more insight to share, because we've talked about the individual incarnation and that journey. We've talked about souls coming together, soulmates, twin flames, all of that stuff. We've talked about soul groupings and constellations and families. And so this seems to me like there's one more level, which is humanity. You know, humanity as a whole, our collective being incarnates in this story. And in the first one, I remember saying to you once in an experience, a mystical experience, an altered experience, I saw the algorithms of incarnation. You know, it's not something I brought out with me from that experience, but I kind of saw that everything was this perfect kind of preconceived pulsing that had a mathematical basis to it. And this is what I see, like the whole of humanity is one organism, one collective consciousness. You know, the consciousness of the whole, of the divine, kind of has come down into this human experience as a whole, and then splits up into all these shards and fractals, mathematical geometries, and then goes through this pulsing, purling, amazing breath pattern as it forgets itself and then comes into this form principle over and over and over again down these fractal lines, these beautiful infinite fractal lines. And each line has to get back to its source, like the serpent, eating, kind of consuming its own tail again, you know, in the Ouroboros, you know, the Greek mysteries. And so, you know, that's our journey as a whole species, as it is our journey as an individual. And it has a perfection to the unraveling. And I think what's of real value in this insight is that there is a pattern to the unfolding of that evolutionary story, that arc. And that, you know, within the layers of this story there are epochs, grand epochs of consciousness diving into the form, forgetting itself, remembering itself through different ways. And these epochs, right now we're in an epoch, and an epoch may be thousands or millions or hundreds of thousands of years, or you know, and the epochs themselves are separated by major events, often cataclysmic events. Because each epoch, as it shifts, as the journey shifts, and the whole consciousness of humanity starts to remember more of itself, then there's a kind of a birth canal that we have to move through as a species, as the species itself mutates. You know, and I've told this story in one of my webinars long ago called the mutation of the solar plexus and this coming of the sixth race. It's really a great journey. It's a lovely story. And behind that is this notion that there are whole epochs that have occurred in the past that are no longer accessible to us. They're beyond recorded history. We're beyond our recorded, you know, all we can do is look back, you know, as far as we look back, we might maybe come to Neanderthals and cavemen and, you know, Cro-Magnon and the early prehistoric primates and stuff. But beyond all of that history, beyond this history, this evolutionary history that we can follow, are other histories, other chains or rounds of civilization where we were a completely different being. And then before that, there was another one, also forgotten to that civilization or that epoch. And each epoch, because it's separated by a big kind of birth-death event, you know, the memory is not consciously held in the storylines of humans, although it is there as an imprint, you know, in our myths, but it's not remembered it's remembered unconsciously. And interestingly, it's remembered by the plant realm, and by the insects and the creatures. They contain the memory, particularly the plants. So those special plants that we take occasionally that open up, those memories, these plant medicines like ayahuasca and other things, they actually release the floodgates between these. They can release the floodgate between these memories, these cataclysms, and they can take you way, way back and way forward, because in the timeless realm, out of form, all is known and all is seen. But in the form here, we're deeply embedded in time and space and story and drama. And as I said, what's of value in this is that we are now at the cusp of a new epoch. This is my sense. This is the story of the gene keys. This is my deep insight of that I stand behind and as underpinning the gene keys as a set of teachings. And so things before the epoch changes, things change rapidly. A lot of things change. A lot of memories come back. A lot of awakening begins to occur as the whole begins to kind of, a ripple passes through it. And through that, that ripple that passes through the whole, it kind of begins to shake the system itself. It begins to shake up the whole constellation, the whole web, the whole thing begins to quiver. And then externally, we enter periods of crisis. We enter periods of like, there's a shakedown, there's a tornado coming, and things begin to fall apart at a global level. So there are signs that a shift is coming, a cataclysmic shift may be coming. And I know that human beings have always, for millennia, thought there's going to be a cataclysm coming, right? So I'm not really talking so much about that right now. I'm just talking that, yes, a big shift is coming with the epoch change. And we can't envisage what lies ahead. We can't envisage the next mutation or transmutation of human beings. It's not possible really for us within this biovehicle to fully understand the next one, because the next one will be a paradigm shift. There will be a quantum leap. So in this cycle of incarnation, the whole species moves through a portal, and the actual veil that separates us between one dimension and the next begins to itself dissolve, particularly as you come towards the final epochs. And we're entering into the 6th of 7 epochs. And that means that towards the end of that epoch, our 5th epoch, we really get glimmers of what's coming. And that means that individuals have the breakthroughs, and more it starts to ripple into the collective. And actually these algorithms, the basic machinery of the whole thing starts to be revealed. And so we can see through the veil. And that's what's happening now. That's what's happening on this earth, is that more and more people are seeing through the veil and remembering their past lives, and perhaps even the thread of where they're going next, if they are, and seeing the whole storyline of the breath pattern of incarnation, is that we are not an individual. We are not even, constellations and families. We're one being. We're one family, the human family. And our time is coming. The end of incarnation itself is coming. And a new human will arrive here on this planet, and a new earth, a new heaven and a new earth, a new kind of form, a new form, and all the sort of hierarchies of nature are bound up in this as well, because we can't be separated from Gaia. We are an aspect of Gaia. So for us to change, the whole of Gaia has to change. Animals, insects, minerals, everything, plants, everything is caught up in this shift. which is why we see these cataclysmic shifts occurring. The global warming, all these different signs of the whole having its birth, death pangs. So I say this so that hopefully you feel at ease rather than feel worried by the state of affairs on our planet, because it has to go through this shift. We have to go through this portal. We have to go through this change in order, this purification. It's always that way, There's always has to be this purification. It's in our myths. It's embedded in them. Before we can take the paradigm leap to another dimension, to a new kind of human being born, a collective human, a human that knows what it is, that knows its interconnectivity with all nature. Not just knows it intellectually, but knows it in the physical cells of the body. Knows it. Like really, in every cell of your being knows it. So that there's no way you could harm another being. No way. It would be like, why would I do that when I feel so good? Why would I harm another being? And why would I harm another being when it's me? I know it's me. I can't possibly do it because I can't. So that's what's coming. That's the final part of the incarnation story that's left. Wonderful tale, isn't it?